Welcome to this podcast, the Awanachi Conversation, a podcast where we're spotlighting remarkable women shaping Zambia and beyond. I'm your host, Mpunga Chipepo Simukwai. Super excited that you could make time to join us on this week's exciting podcast. Now, on the podcast today, we are joined by a trailblazer in banking, and that's Ms. Kapumpe Chola, who's the CEO of FNB Zambia and the first woman to hold that role. And you know, those are things that really, really get me excited. Now, with a career spanning Barclays, Standard Chartered, RMB, and FNB across Africa and the United Kingdom, Kapumpe brings a bold mix of global experience and local passion. She's driven by a vision of a shared prosperity and is deeply committed to empowering Zambia's SMEs through inclusive financial solutions. Help me welcome Kapumpe to the Awanachi Conversations. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's such a joy to have you, Kapumpe. I know how busy you are. So when we reached out and we said we needed to just have a sit down with you, just so you could share with us your leadership journey and just give us some tips on what it takes for one to become a CEO. We were truly honored that you were able to create time to meet with us. I must say also, you look amazing.
Thank you. And it's great to be here with you.
Thank you. Now, Kapumpe, before I start, maybe you could just take us through your leadership journey from forex trading to CEO, the first woman to hold this role in FNB Zambia. What are some of the lessons that have stuck with you throughout your career and that have shaped the leader that you are today?
Right. Thanks. I mean, if I were to maybe just even pick up one, it's to always look for that opportunity to make a meaningful difference wherever you are, have and to create impact. I always looked for that next role where I could get growth from. So really that has shaped my journey. Yes, from forex trading, rolling out new products in the forex market, but also looking at how much more impactful could I be to my clients beyond forex, and therefore moved into relationship banking. And it's been, I guess, a journey of growth from there.
Amazing.
And here we are today.
Absolutely. Now, you've obviously led teams across borders, looking at your vast experience. What's your secret in leading with impact in different markets? Because you've worked across different countries and different markets as well. What do you think has been a key ingredient in you leading with impact?
I think the one thing that stands out for me when you're working with people is trying to get to know them, understand their value system, what's important for them. But really, when you get down to it, human beings really have the same needs. See me, know me, care for me. We all have the same sense of belonging. So like I said, when it gets down to it, we really are all the same. And just if you take time to know the people that you're working with, care for them and understand them, I think it works. That's the formula.
Care for them and understand them. We all want to be seen. We all want to be heard. Amazing. Now, obviously, you've highlighted the fact that, you're always looking for opportunities to grow. And there's a saying that growth and comfort don't sit on the same table. So I do know that, for instance, in that growth process, there's been a lot of discomfort. But look at where you are now. Could you share with us what has been one of your most boldest leadership decisions so far, and how did it turn out?
Right. So I think there've been a few, but maybe the one that really comes to mind, springs up as we speak, is there was an opportunity to take up an offer to go and work in one of the African markets for our group. I was working at another institution at the time. And this was a business which my line manager at the time described as a poison chalice. So there was that offer and another offer to go to Singapore to go and do a job which was a new area for me, but one which I knew after 6 months would not be very challenging. So I took up the offer to go to the African market, which was a problem business at the time. It took a lot of work to get it right, but within 12 to 18 months, we had started to see the turnaround that we were hoping for. By the time I was leaving, that was a thriving business. So, yeah, that's one that resonates very much about being bold. Yeah.
What would you say kept you there, kept you going, during the time that you were there in a challenging environment?
It was to see that change happen. It was the belief in the team and the capabilities. Got there, got to know the team, and I could see there was some key strengths in there that we could use and harness. We had to change a few things around, move a few people around, but in the end, we had the right team, and we worked on pursuing those areas that needed fixing, and we got it right.
Amazing. Now, you are in the banking sector, of course, and as a CEO of FNB Zambia. What excites you most about the future of banking in Africa?
So Africa has a youthful population. So in there is a growing client base, an evolving client base. And there's just so much change happening in the digital space, and much more so in Africa, because we probably had to leapfrog when it comes to technology from the West. And because of that transformation or the leapfrogging that we had to do, there's a lot more that's happening, a lot more that can happen. So I think if you're thinking banking, if you're thinking finance, if you're thinking growth, Africa is the place to be.
Absolutely. Now, do you think that digital banking can truly reach the unbanked? Do you think, what does the future look like, for Zambia in that sense?
Yeah, I believe it absolutely can. And I think we've seen the journey. It's already started. If we look at the penetration outside of banking that's happening in that financial inclusion space, particularly with the mobile money operations, that is the inclusion that we've been looking for. So what we need to do now with the full integration between banking and the other financial services providers is to make sure that we merge those two and that integration is full. And we certainly can take the growth that we've seen already can only grow exponentially once we're fully integrated across all those platforms. So yes, I believe that the unbanked are being reached, and there's a lot more still that we can do in offering, if you like, a full suite of products outside of just ordinary banking.
Now, when we talk about inclusion, we cannot talk about financial innovation or financial access if we leave out the rural communities. What are some of the financial innovations that you think that would ensure that the rural communities are included in the financial conversation?
So creating more cashless communities in the rural areas is a starting point. It's already a challenge to get physical cash into some of those areas. So the way we can be more inclusive is try and enable as much as possible their ability to do cashless transactions. So that is work, I think, again, is already happening. We have telephones in most of the rural areas of Zambia. It's my family, my relatives in the village have a phone.
Yeah.
It may not be a smartphone, but they have a phone. So we can still do digital banking on the USSD platforms. It does not need to be a smartphone. But more and more, the more that we extend those services, the more we build a network capabilities across the country, which I believe is the drive that's going on at the moment. The more we enable this cashless banking or cashless financial solutions for the rural masses. And it is important that we get there because there's a lot of development that is happening outside of the urban areas. So the more we can enable the ability to do banking, the ability to get services, whether it's micro insurance, micro lending, all those services into the rural areas, the easier, the quicker it is to develop those areas.
Now, the banking sector is definitely a highly regulated space. How do you balance innovation and regulation in your role as a CEO of a bank?
And I think regulation is upon us. Regulation will always be around. I think that what's important is to take time to understand the regulation when it comes out. It is usually, regulation is typically trying to cure some mischief that is happening in the sector or trying to make sure that there's protection of the consumers. But for the most part, regulation also creates opportunities for innovation. And that is how we try to look at it at FNB. So whenever some regulation comes out, we look at it in terms of what does this do for us? What does it solve? But in solving, how do we enhance the banking experience for our customers? So it should really allow banks and other financial institutions to get more creative, but to be able to do their banking even better or provide their services even better. So that's how we treat regulation. We look at it as a way to also innovate.
Absolutely. I love that. A fresh perspective that in regulation, there are obviously opportunities there as well. Now, coming to the aspect of women and empowerment, Kapumpe, what's one bold move that you think women in your space, women in banking, women in finance need to make?
Just take charge of your career. Take charge of your career. Work with impact towards your career plan, but also quite importantly, seek challenges actively, right? Make your intentions known to those who have influence and work towards those intentions. Do not become comfortable or complacent, because sometimes we do when we've reached a certain level, and that's fine. I think it's always looking at how can you get yourself into a place of discomfort, because it's in that discomfort that you grow and you thrive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But what would be your word to somebody who probably feels, I don't know what to do for me to be seen or for me to be heard? What has been some of your experience in that space, and how would you encourage probably somebody who's still starting in banking or in the finance space?
I think it's important as a starting point to understand what you are looking for. Yeah. So you're very clear in terms of this is a path I'd like my career to take. And be rest assured, there will be some bumps along the way that may derail you. But if you have focus on where you want to go, you will work towards it and stick to your plan. I think what's important for maybe the new starters to realize is try and learn as much as possible in every area that you go into. But also when you're there, always just be the best that you can be. I like the phrase that, if you're going to be a street sweeper, be the Michelangelo of street sweeping.
Right.
So wherever you are, just be the best version. Always stand out in whatever it is that you're doing. That is a way for a career to lift off.
Love
that will work.
Standing out. Now, we, have conversations around women in leadership. We talk about this gender equality. We talk about the need for more women to be in spaces of leadership. But we do know that we have to work extra hard, like you have said, for us to stand out. Now, in your experience, have you ever had to fight for your voice to be heard in the boardroom where all things happen? Have you ever had to fight for your voice to be heard? And if at all, how did you handle that aspect?
Yeah, like probably 95% of the other women in boardrooms, yes, I've had to fight.
Yeah.
But, you just make it clear that you will not be ignored, that you have a voice, you have a right to be at that table, like everyone else does. I think sadly, it is still the case in many organizations that when a woman speaks up, when she's assertive, she is seen as aggressive. Whereas if a man has a similar voice, it's probably seen, he's a go-getter. He knows what he wants.
Yeah.
That is also changing, I must admit, quite a bit. But it's still a situation where the woman needs to do that extra bit to be seen, to have earned the right to be at the table. So it's something that I've had to deal with in my career as well, yes. But the important point is if I know what I stand on. So be self-aware, but be clear and know, remember we talked about the learning element. Know your space, know the area that you're working in, understand your strengths, and know and have confidence in what you bring to the table. No one will take that away from you. They may try to shake it, but it's yours and you will still show up.
Absolutely. Now, obviously, a lot of people would and do reach out in terms of having access to you. And probably the only opportunity they'll get to get close to you will be through this podcast, the Awanachi Conversations podcast. If you were to mentor a young woman in Zambia or in Africa for 60 seconds, what would you say to them? And probably, as you say, I will allow you to look into the camera that's right in front of you, just to that 60-second masterclass mentorship session with Miss Kapumpe Chola. What would you tell them?
So, firstly, this is a very deeply challenging question because it's very likely that each woman is at a very different stage in their lives. However, certain themes like empowerment resonate across all experiences. So, using your voice is a powerful act. Speak up for what matters to you. Don't wait to feel ready. The moment that you're in is the right moment. So speak up for that which you believe in. And like I said, hold your own, because be confident in that which you know. So whatever area you're in, make sure that you've become a master of that area so that you are able to speak with authority.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Kapumpe, for that. Now, you have had the opportunity to lead in executive roles, and you're currently in one yourself. What would you say would be some of the changes that you would like to see in order for more women to get into executive roles?
Yeah. I mean, look, over the years, the shift in women or females in executive roles has been happening, and more in some sectors than in others. But inclusive leadership and accountability, whether it be at a board level or some senior level of that organization, will make this transition, and has made this transition even more natural where it is happening. We are not advocating for positions to be given to women who are not deserving, but all we are calling for is that there are many capable women out there who don't even get the opportunity to get to the interview table. Can we make this a lot more inclusive? That is all.
Yeah, make it more inclusive.
Yes.
I like the fact that FNB has an exco team that is that has mostly women as compared to men. Is that part of your deliberate strategy to make it more inclusive?
Well, it's almost 50-50. So I think just
Which
maybe
is
so
still
that we
good.
get it right. Was it deliberate? I would like to think there was some thought process to it, but not that we were going out actively to bring a woman on in place of a man who was better deserving. No, but we certainly have some very deserving women. The balance of numbers within the organization is actually slightly more females across the entire organization than males. So for us, it then follows that even at that leadership position, it should be at the very minimum a balance of women to men.
Okay.
If we're doing our development right.
Absolutely. Now, as a leader, what would you say is a daily habit that you would say keeps you grounded?
My coffee. So early morning, I read or listen to Our Daily Bread. And I have a cup of coffee before I've probably done many things. But even when I get to the office, I have a coffee. But I also like to exercise. My little walks and runs, solo ones mostly, really do help me to just reconnect with self.
Yeah. Somebody once said, "What's a morning without coffee?" So
Yes.
I'm with you on that one. Now, what impact, Kapumpe, beyond this, do you hope to make beyond the boardroom, beyond your executive role?
Yeah, look, I'm a little obsessed with transformation. Yeah, whether it's seeing children grow into responsible adults in my Sunday school class at church, whether it's seeing young people come into the organization and really grow and thrive and come into their own, or it's to help to grow small ideas into businesses. that is all around transformation. That's the sort of stuff that keeps me going.
Okay, transformation. Now, how do you ensure to stay focused as a leader on a long term vision amidst the daily pressures? I do know that the banking sector is a high pressure job, but how do you stay the course? How do you ensure that that long term vision is achieved or attained at the end of the day?
It's eye on the ball, basically. It's an art, and I've had to learn, and I think I'm still learning, and I continue to refine it. It's how I balance my time between the balcony, that's taking a bird's eye view of the organization, keeping that strategic focus, and the dance floor, getting involved in the day-to-day operations of the bank. That's an art that you continue to learn. But what I do literally is keep my strategic pillars and levers in a space where I look at them often, just so that I don't lose focus.
Eyes on the goal.
Mm.
Eyes on the goal. Now, before we let you go, Kapumpe, as we are winding down, I do know, for instance, that even our viewers that are watching the podcast, maybe at different levels of their careers, different stages, some starting, some having been at it for 20 years plus. What does success look like for you at this stage in your career?
I think what's critical for me is creating a compelling vision for our more than 750 plus team members at FNB Zambia. For them to believe that success for this organization is anchored on the impact that we can create in our environment, in our market. That our growth as a bank is anchored in the lives we transform. The loan we give to build or buy a house, the business we help to grow and create employment, that we are successful in helping create a better world, but importantly for us at this local level, a better Zambia through offering real help.
Okay. I always love the offering real help tag with FNB. And lastly, Kapumpe, what next from here?
You mean career-wise?
Career-wise, of course. Career-wise. What next from
Creating
here?
impact in many different ways across our country.
I love that.
So you will see what that looks like at the time when it comes.
Okay, we look forward to that. So, Kapumpe, thank you so much for your gracing the Awanachi Conversations podcast. Like I mentioned in the opening, your journey, your leadership journey is truly inspirational. Your being the first woman in this role is truly inspirational as well. The amazing work that you do as a leader, as a bank, continues to impact many of our communities. So once again, thank you so much for being our guest on today's podcast.
Thank you for this great opportunity to share. Thank you.
Okay, there you have it. I have been talking to the FNB CEO, Ms. Kapumpe Chola, who's been taking us through her leadership journey, what keeps her grounded, her focus on that long-term vision, how she just manages her work and career as a leader. I'm praying and hoping that you've learned a couple of things from this conversation. I'm so grateful to the Ms. Kapumpe Chola and the team at FNB. You will be actually happy to note that we are coming to you from the CEO's office right here at FNB Acacia branch. So thank you so much. Do join us next time for another exciting podcast. I've been your host, Mpunga Chipepo Simukwai. Goodbye and God bless you.